speakers of the day, Professor Shafiq Al Sahab, Farah Hassan Sahab, and Asim has just gone out, so please come and sit here. I don't know whether Dean Sahab would be comfortable there or I should call him here. I think it would be better for him to sit there. Dear friends, as all of you know that this is the month which is associated with our founder, Syed Ahmad Khan, and throughout this month, every department, every association related with his institution keeps on holding programs about him. Unfortunately, the message which has wrongly been given to the students who have joined in the recent years is that Sir Syed Ahmad Khan was only a Muslim reformer, or a person concerned only with Islam and the Muslim community. Secondly, somehow there has also been an impression which has been created, perhaps due to our neighboring country, that Sir Syed Ahmad Khan is also responsible for the partition of country which took place, although all of us know that this is an argument which can never be sustained, in the sense that the poor man died decades before this concept was even, thought about by the poets, what to talk about the politicians. But then there's a sustained view which carries on and which increases the burden on the institution where we are sitting. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan was basically a timeless thinker whose ideals of reason, reform and renaissance continue to illuminate our path during this 21st century. Although he was a person who was living at a time when the trauma of 1857 took place, but even at that time he appeared to be a reformer who understood that the survival and progress of his community, the Qawm, but he is never explicit about what he actually means by the Qawm, depended not on isolation but on engagement with knowledge, science and modern world. He established the Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College, later which became Aligarh Muslim University, which was not merely an institutional act but an intellectual revolution which he had created during that period of time. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan was also among the earliest Indian pioneers in the field of history and archaeology, something which is not emphasized by all those writers who keep on writing about Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. His works such as Asarus Sanadid, which is a detailed study of the historical monuments of Delhi, marks the beginnings of systematic architectural documentation in India. Long before the Archaeological Survey of India was formally set up, Sir Syed had already set a model of historical and archaeological research combining epigraphy, architectural observation, and local oral traditions with critical reasoning. His fascination with antiquities, inscriptions, and artifacts reflected not mere curiosity but a deep sense of historical consciousness. He personally collected and catalogued coins, inscriptions, and relics from various parts of North India, understanding that these were not mere remnants of the past but living testimonies of a shared civilizational heritage. In him, we find a rare blend: a historian's precision, a reformer's purpose, and an antiquarian's passion. For Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, history was not simply a record of kings and conquests. It was a moral and cultural teacher, a way of understanding the evolution of societies and the necessity of progress. His belief in reason over rhetoric, in education as empowerment, and in dialogue between tradition and modernity offers us enduring guidance in an age often marked by polarization and misinformation. His intellectual legacy reminds us that a society which forgets its history or distorts it cannot hope to build a just and enlightened future. Recently, however, there is an unfortunate controversy which has risen its head, about which I would like to point out before I hand over the podium to the esteemed guests. We all of us, at least those who are students of history or literature, it's always a moment for us of ecstasy when a new manuscript or source of information hitherto unknown becomes known. Recently, a new manuscript has been discovered within inverted commas. It stayed hidden from public gaze till around a year back. However, it was very visible in the catalogue of one of the most important libraries of the world. It was always there. The only thing is that perhaps we forgot to read it. With it becoming known, the controversy erupted which tried to depict Sir Syed not as an author of Asarus Sanadid, but as what some people called a plagiarist. And that is why I am dealing with this issue here. We are actually thankful to Dr. Athar Farooqi, who runs that Anjuman Taraqi Urdu board in Delhi, for introducing this manuscript, Nuskha-e Hafizuddin Ahmad, which is nothing more than a collection of inscriptions. In his introduction, to this untitled manuscript, which Athar Farooqi has written both in Urdu and English, he has articulated his views on this particular important text. No one can argue with most of his arguments. For example, that it is so far the earliest collection of inscriptions of Delhi, that is 1817, which is attested to by the scribe and author, as he calls him, who mentions the date of the compilation in the colophon itself. So it is one of the earliest collection of inscriptions of Delhi. If the compiler, not the author as Farooqi puts it, because it's merely a collection of inscriptions. Nothing has been written on it. So he's basically a compiler, and who certainly is Hafizuddin, the scribe of these epigraphs in this particular manuscript. They have been inscribed written by Mirza Sangeen Beg, who later in 1821 wrote Sayrul Manazil and reproduced the epigraphs in the text. It was naturally 2 decades later that Asharu Sanadid of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan was written. And the charge which was put up was that Sir Syed was doing nothing but plagiarizing those epigraphs from this work of Hafizuddin Ahmad. But then, around 1830, we have another collection, this known as Katbat-e-Imarat-e Shahr Delhi, which were compiled by Sultan Singh. And Sultan Singh, in fact, writes that these are the inscriptions of the monuments of Delhi, which I copied for Munshi Muhammad Hassan, which is kept, this manuscript of the collection is kept in the Royal Asiatic Society in London. Professor Chandrasekhar, who is a scholar of Persian in Delhi University, actually found this manuscript, and I am really thankful to him that he brought this particular manuscript to my notice. Now the question is, did Sahbai, or who actually Athar Farooqi says was the actual writer of Asaru Sanadid, and to him, according to Athar Farooqi, Sir Syed never refers to, plagiarized the epigraphs from Sangeen Beg? Because Sangeen Beg is also one of the authors who has reproduced these epigraphs before Sir Syed. Or was Sir Syed Ahmad Khan copying from Sultan Singh, whose epigraphs I just mentioned were collected in 1830? Were all of them plagiarizing the work of one by the other? Is it that all these people, Sangeen Beg, Sultan Singh, Syed Ahmad Khan, all of them stole the work of Hafizuddin, who finds no mention either in the Sayrul Manazil nor in the works of Sultan Singh or in Asharu Sanadid? Farooq in his Beneficence gives some benefit of doubt in his introduction, after claiming that it's a plagiarized work. He says that perhaps the sinner was Sahbai, because the original draft of Asharu Sanadid was his, and perhaps Sir Syed was not aware of the fact that Sahbai is actually copying out those documents. Perhaps this entire formulation, which has been put forward by a number of people, Athar Farooqi Sahab is not the only one. There are others also who similarly argued, and it was reported extensively in the newspapers last year. Perhaps it's all misleading, as I say. Most of the characters in this story, Hafizuddin, Sangeen Beg, Sultan Singh, Syed Ahmad himself, and perhaps Sahbai also, were employees of Company Bahadur and members of an archaeological society at Delhi, whose members and to an extent financier was Nawab Ziauddin Khan Loharu. एक ही एम्प्लॉई है, एक ही ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है जिसको सब के सब बिलोंग करते हैं. तो everyone is aware of what the other has done. Perhaps it is simply the fact that it being the period when photography was not being done, the only way of recording the epigraphs was by copying it. And thus a number of people copied those epigraphs, one after the other. And by copying the epigraphs, we cannot blame the next one as the plagiarist. हाँ, plagiarist आप जब पुकार सकते थे जिस वक्त अगर कोई किसी ने गलती की होती, हफीजुद्दीन ने कॉपी करने में कहीं ऊपर कोई अल्फाज की गलती कर दी होती, स्पेलिंग की गलती कर दी होती और सैयद अहमद भी उसी को फॉलो कर रहे होते, then it would have been sure that he is not looking at those but actually following someone who has written earlier. All these Bakyu, apart from Asharu Sanadid, especially the collections of Hafizuddin and Sultan Singh, are simply a collection of epigraphs, no more, no less. Then to say that the actual author of Asharu Sanadid was Sahbai is also perhaps erroneous in the fact that in Asharu Sanadid, first volume of the first edition, Sir Syed himself mentions Sahbai as one of those who helped him draft this material. As per Hayat-e Javed of Hali, Sahbai also accompanied Syed Ahmad in his expeditions to the monuments outside Shahjahanabad and even stayed with him overnight. In these expeditions, Sahbai seems to have helped Syed Ahmad in measuring the monuments, deciphering the inscriptions and general field work. Further, Sir Syed's work includes something which has been missed by all others. The Brahmi epigraphs, the Ashokan inscriptions, have not been copied by anyone else except in Asharu Sanadid by Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. Brahmi at that particular moment of time is a script which cannot be deciphered. So Sir Syed, what he does is that he copies them verbatim as they are so that the scholars in future might read them. How can you call such a person as a plagiarist? Sir Syed's interest in this field is further represented through one of his short but path-breaking articles which he wrote on bricks. It's a 2-page article and it's worth reading. It's in Urdu. And it has been written much before the article on the same theme by Sir John Marshall. So, in a way, Sir Syed is writing on something on which Sir John Marshall was going to write afterwards. And that was that how the bricks, their sizes, their shape can help us date the buildings. In other words, one can conclude that perhaps Sir Syed was one of the first scholars of the field which today we call as historical archaeology. A person who is taking into account epigraphs. He is also translating the various sources related with Delhi and monuments, and then also, as all of you are students of this place, you must have visited the university museum, Musa Dakri Museum, and there you would find that there is a large collection which goes by the name of Sir Syed collection, with all type of Jain and so-called Hindu sculptures, with only one being of Muslim origin, that is Balban, who was the governor of Kol, Aligarh. He had put up an inscription on a monument which he had created as the governor of Kol. That was collected, and that is the only, one of the only thing in that entire collection which can be, attributed to Islam, Muslims, or to medieval. There are some other controversies also, sir. I have taken much time, which are associated with the personality of Sir Syed, which we keep on reading in the newspapers and magazines. As I pointed out to one of them, was he the inspiration of separate nations based on religion? Was the institution which he founded discouraged what we call pasbanda? And this is something which is being highlighted again and again, that Sir Syed never, paid any attention towards inverted commas pasbanda. The very term is of modern origin, and whether he opposed the education of girls. Hope that the galaxy of scholars who are before you today, Asim Saab, Farhat Hassan, Shafiq Adwai, they might be able to throw light on these controversies as well as other aspects related with Sir Syed's life. With these words, I would like to invite Professor Asim Siddiqui to come here and present his views.